The thing I want to talk about today, and I'm going to talk a little about marriage and stuff, it's a matter of perspective. And for you that maybe Carolyn, I know, has, and Tim, they have some adopted cousins too, and they're cousins. And it's a matter of perspective and how we look at things. And like all of us, we go through life, and some of us, maybe it's all great. Some of us, we have certain challenges, and sometimes we listen, to the devil maybe barking in our ear, and we've listened to it. And each one of us, he seems to pick on certain things that we would listen to. My sister went through a spell, and she's willing to share this. Like she says, no big secret. A short part in her life where being adopted was an issue for her. Oh, somebody didn't want me. I'm not the same as Brent and Tymen to mom and dad. No kidding, you're a female, we're males. All these thoughts. So the great news is, it was only a few years, that 19 to 23-ish, where a lot of us think and do dumb things. And she kind of followed that, felt sorry for herself and all these things. But she could have looked at it different, and this is how she looks at it today. Yes, she was born to a teenage mom and a teenage dad who weren't planning on having a child. But they didn't kill her in an abortion. And then, I joked about it earlier, mom and dad wanted children. They do what they do to have me, and they're stuck. When I was born, back then Dad was actually watching the late night movie, but they brought, to Dad. Dad couldn't say, whoa, you put that right back where he came from. I don't want that kid. They were stuck with me. When Brent was born, it was no different. Here, this is what you get. Yep. That's Brent. Yep, that's a boy. See, with my sister, the reason we call her chosen, because my parents made a decision to adopt a child. And they made a decision once they found out I was a male that they wanted a girl. They also, if I'm not mistaken, could have gotten her and said, no, you take her back, and it would have been done. They didn't have to keep her at first. So it's a matter of perspective, and this is the way my sister looks at it now, and that's why we joke about that she's the chosen one. Because my parents spent time praying about it and wanted her. They wanted a girl. They wanted her. They could have turned her back. They could have sent her on her way when she was little. None. Nope. We want her. We chose her. Brent and I, they stuck with us. And it's all a matter of perspective, how you want to look at things in your life. That's with anything. In Ephesians 5:20, it says, giving thanks always for all things to God, for the Father, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. It is so important that we are thankful and grateful. And your life, I one time was this old farmer. He was still farming, and he was about 70. And he very quickly, when we were chatting with him, he sold everything and decided I had enough of farming. And part of the reason was somebody came up to him and said, this is your life. He says, how long are you going to live? And this guy says, I'll be lucky if I hit 85. And this was 85 his life. He was 65 at the he was 70 at the time. And the guy went like this and said, this is how much you have left. This is all water under the bridge. What do you want to do with the last 15 years you think you're going to live? And the thing, and this was a while ago, I heard this thing, and I thought to myself, well, I'm not that old. I think I was about 35. And so, let's pick 90. There we go, that's 90 here. I go, I got this much left. Well, what do I want in there? And then I thought, well, part of me I got married when I was here, and I got all this tape measure. I'm going to be married to Carolyn, as long as she hangs on till that long too. And I thought to myself, if this is how much I got, and I got to live with her, I might as well make it good, because that's a long time. And so today I'm going to touch on some points. I know in a crowd like this, some aren't married, some have, no longer. Some, we know, I think of Dennis and Jim right now cheering us on from the grandstands in heaven, as we say. But how about this here? See, in today's society, let me see where I'm, okay, good, I'm following my notes, good. In today's society, and when I thought I was going to touch on this a bit and maybe have us, a little tune-up and some encouragement here, we all know the divorce rate's about 45 to 50%, and they say the same for Christians. But if you dig a little deeper, it's more around 25% for those who are committed Christians that attend, let's say, like church regularly. That's what they used. And when I was reading it, I thought, man, that's quite a bit of divorce. And I know sometimes you enter a divorce, the person just leaves you. I don't know you can do about it. They walked out the door. And I thought, man, that's quite a high number. And some other stats I found interesting, that 70% of divorces are initiated by the woman, and that number jumps close to 90% if she has a university degree. That doesn't mean, guys, you don't marry someone with a university degree. But here was the interesting one, and it was a stat from the U.S., that about 45% of divorces marriages end in divorce. The second marriage, it jumps up to 67%, and the third marriage, a whopping 73%. They didn't give for the fourth because I think by then you just give up. And then it goes through and gave me some reasons for divorce, and everybody has an opinion online, I noticed, but these are the ones that kind of stuck out. There was too much conflict, always arguing, a lack of commitment for the relationship, of course, infidelity in affairs, a lack of emotion or physical intimacy, and finances play a part in it. Another stat that I found interesting, I didn't realize this, that it's called, according to the Government of Canada website that this thing popped up on, intimate partner violence where the police are called, 20% a man is the victim, which surprised me, of course, 80% for women. At this time, I gotta say this, because there's always somebody who's in a relationship where there's physical abuse or severe substance abuse. I'm not telling you to stay in a relationship where you're getting abused, slapped around, someone's cooking meth on the stove or whatever. It's amazing to me, sometimes people say, well, I'm getting slapped. The church said I shouldn't get divorced. I'm like, well, no one told you not to stay there. But somehow people do that, so I gotta make this a thing just in case somebody hears it online. But what happens in a relationship, it's like a vicious cycle. And we know this, all of us been married or had parents who've been married. A disagreement happens. This happens in every relationship. Happens in mine. I've seen it happen to my parents. Both think they are right. There's a shock. The woman shares her feelings. The man feels disrespected. Then the woman doesn't feel loved. Then there's a lack of emotional intimacy and physical intimacy. There's no commitment to correct it and figure it out. And then the man withdraws and goes to work. She goes to work. They come home, don't solve any issues, don't talk to each other for a while. Maybe they kind of make up, and then the whole cycle starts again. Then the whole cycle starts again. And then a few months later, it's again and again and again, till finally the man withdraws and says, whatever, she's up, so I don't care. I don't even care anymore. Physical intimacy I can do without if I have to put up with her, but he just stays there and kind of disconnects from the relationship, doesn't feel respected, but he's not offering the wife any love or emotional support or intimacy. The woman finally says, "All right, let's separate. We're done." Colossians 3:18-19 says in the Message translation, "Wives, understand and support your husbands by submitting to them in the ways that honor the master." Then it goes on to say, "Husbands, go all out in love for your wives and don't take advantage of them." I just talked to you about how in a relationship things can go sideways. And before you know it, usually it's not like you realize, all of a sudden you're just down the path. But instead, how about you have an argument and a disagreement? The wife ends up telling her husband, "We may disagree and haven't solved this issue, but you know what? I respect your opinion and everything you're doing for our family." The husband looks at the wife and says, "I don't know where that thought's coming from, but I love your passion. In fact, I love you and thank you for the gift you are." Maybe they decide they're going to table that and talk about it later, give each other a hug and a kiss. And because of that, maybe they end up watching a hockey game that night, playing a game, reading, going for a walk, whatever. Ends up, there's some physical intimacy later that night. The man wakes up feeling like a man that his wife respects him. The wife wakes up, "I'm loved." They go on to work and excited to come home to see each other, even if that disagreement hasn't been solved yet. In most cases, you had a choice, the husband and the wife. What are you going to do? Are we going to throw things at each other, or are we going to walk in love and respect each other? The disagreement hasn't been solved yet. It might take some prayer, might take some time, might actually look at each other and go, let me try to figure out where my spouse is coming from. Another interesting thing, and I'm not jumping on you women, but it's interesting to me that Paul said, address the women first. Let me give you a little insight, ladies. Us men are simple creatures. I kind of tell Carolyn, I'm like a family dog. You give me a nice home, you give me some food, you tell me I'm good, good puppy. You give me a little affection, I'm good. We're simple. I have a dog, golden retriever, Maverick, named after Tom Cruise's character in Top Gun. Maverick, you know what? In the morning, Maverick wakes up, wags its tail. He's an outside dog, but we let him inside for 10, 15 minutes. He comes around, gets his head petted. He gets his food. We open the door. He goes out and plays with Tim and Jamie's dogs. They try to act like mighty hunters. They don't really catch anything. They follow everybody around. They sleep in the sun. Then he comes home. Maverick comes home at night, gets a little pet, a little love. Every night that dog comes home. Why? Because he has a nice bed to sleep in for a dog. He gets fed. He's told he's a good dog. And he gets a little pet and rub on the tummy and behind the ears and stuff. Us guys are the same way. It's very simple. Just a point, ladies. Raphael's going, yeah, that's me. Abby's like, okay, I'll rub behind your ears then. Oh, boy, let's get back focused here. A lot of people, especially in church, will say, well, I'm committed to my relationship. And when people tell me they're committed to something, I'm always like, okay, show me. That's nice. Lip service is good, but we need proof. It says in Galatians 6:9 in the King James Version, let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we don't lose heart. A lot of times, and there's people, you can read testimonies of people that have had a tough relationship, and they don't give up. And in due season, you will reap something. For example, a lot of people say, let's say maybe you're struggling in your relationship or whatever, and you think, that's it, tomorrow we'll fix it. No, tomorrow you start fixing it. And then you grow and you grow and you grow on improving it. I also hear people say, marriage is a commitment. It's a choice. Love is a choice. And I don't disagree with that. But then I always think, okay, I'm glad you guys have made the decision that love is a choice, but that relationship, you can have it. It's dry. There's no emotional love. Life's long. You got how many years left married? Why not have it full of life, full of passion, excitement? You want to hang out together. I know, as many of you know, we got 3 children. All of them now are in their mid to late 20s. And there's a big thing with people that have kids and you're raising them. All of a sudden they grow up and they're not keeping you busy anymore. And you look across and you're like, okay, who's she? And I'm really glad that Carol and I were able, even when the kids were growing up, that we were able to carve out time. And it's hard. I mean, my kids played so many sports. I think I had 70 seasons or 65 seasons of sports. You're raising them, you're working, you're in church. But we were able to carve out time to hang out together and to be together. Let me encourage you that have children, and I know some of you here, you're first generation into this country and you're grinding hard to get schooling done. Hey, make sure you spend time with your spouse too. That's really, really important to do. And it's interesting, in Deuteronomy 24, verse 5, it says, when a man takes a new wife, he shall not go out to war or be charged with any business. He shall be free at home 1 year, bringing happiness to his wife, whom he hath taken. I think, Dad, did you forget to turn off your phone? And look, Mom is nicely smiling. That's just Dave. In the Old Testament, a husband, when he got married, he was supposed to spend a year just with his wife. I know in our society today that ain't going to happen, but sometimes we can look at the Old Testament there and go, you know what? It's not a bad idea to plan some time out and spend time with your wife. We have to treat it as precious. A really good friend of Carolyn and I's, a couple got divorced. And every time this person sees Carolyn and I, this person tells us, you know what? Treat it as special. Don't take it for granted. And this couple that I'm thinking of that got divorced, good Christian people. Good Christian people. There was no affair. There was no abuse that we always think, well, somebody must have cheated or somebody did something. No. In fact, when this person told me they were going through this about 4 or 5 years ago, they were going to get counseling. This person figured, well, we should be able to work it out because, one, we're not abusive and nobody cheated. But yet, eventually one of them said, no, this relationship is done. The issue being now, they have children. Family holidays get a little more confusing, a little more complicated. And I asked this person, well, what happened? And he says, you know, He goes, probably about 10 years ago, we just kind of drifted. We did not cherish our relationship. We just kind of had our own separate little worlds. And then when the kids got a little older, here we are. And when I think of this family, people get divorced. Some people don't surprise you one bit. This one shocked me. And not that I'm tight with this person, but I am close, sort of. I don't know how you specify. I know about it. We talk. We do business together. But a lot of it probably is they just took each other for granted. If they had even did a little bit of Deuteronomy 24:5, probably would have saved the relationship. And this person was sharing with me, no, I don't want to be by myself. He's person's starting to try to date and all this stuff. And when you're doing it in my age, it's a challenge. Another friend from university, I'm in this group chat with a bunch of guys. I went down to university. We lived in the dorm together. One American Thanksgiving, he says, hey guys, can you just pray for me? He says, I'm here all by myself. And I'm like, what? You have a wife and 3 kids. Yep. Separated, divorced, and probably the same story as I just said. And now he's spending, they're all with mom that time. And he's by himself and lonely. And this is not to judge anybody who's gone through a separation. I haven't walked your shoes. I don't know the situation. But this is for those that are planning to and are, to cherish that. Or who knows? Maybe you will get married again. Somebody says, well, what do you mean? I'm older. If my grandma, my dad's mom, and my step-grandpa were alive today, they could come teach. We wouldn't want to put it online. But my grandma was 60, grandpa, I call him grandpa, was 65. And for 30 years, just when you see an 80-year-old flirt and it's your grandma with each other, you're just like, this is unbelievable. The love they have, and am I kidding, Dad? You're just excuse me, Grandma? Excuse me, Grandpa? And they got married, both came from tough breakups. They fell in love, traveled the world together. Grandpa, when Grandma's health was failing and they had to put her in a helping home, my grandpa insisted that he stay on the same floor in the other building so he could walk, and his health was starting to fail, but his health was more just a physical thing. Grandma's was more of a mental thing. He would slowly, and I mean slowly, he was 95 at that time, Grandpa Lane, and he would slowly every morning go check on Grandma. Then slowly walk back. Then slowly get up later in the day, go back and check on Grandma. So if you've gone through a breakup, I'm taking a side journey here, so I'm not writing there in my notes yet. There's always, God is faithful, man. He will, if you've gone through a tough breakup, there could be someone else out there for you, and it can be awesome. And I really do mean it. My grandparents, my step-grandpa and my grandma, it was just absolute wonderful. It was, you think they were 20. And so there's always, don't give up. Just because you went through something hard and a breakup, there's somebody. It might take time, but I just wanted to throw that in there. So, okay. 1 Peter 4, verse 8, the New Living Translation says, most importantly of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins. If you've been married more than 1 week, you have come to discover that your spouse is not perfect. And newsflash, you're not either. The biggest thing is, if deep, true love is, don't keep a scoreboard. Don't keep a scoreboard. Nobody is perfect. I remember when I was getting married, my dad came to me and says, son, I'm going to give you some good marriage advice. Number one, when she asks you to clean in stuff like the bathroom mirror or something, just leave a little streak in it so she'll appreciate your effort but realize you're not the right person for that job. Now you know, Mom. But he also said to me, you're the man. I go, yes, I noticed that. I am a man. He says, you know, for certain things, don't fret about everything. I go, what do you mean? He says, for example, you see this wall? I go, yeah. He says, do you care if it's light beige or darker beige? I went, no. She goes, she does. If you don't hate it, just let it go. And the thing is, and I know it's not good for husbands, whatever you want, whatever you want. That's not what a wife is looking for. But what it taught me mainly was, don't fret about small things that don't really, really matter. And that's also for the woman. There's certain things a guy's going to do because he's a guy. You know what? He's a guy. He's going to be guy. He's going to do guy things. Why? I don't know. Ask God. We're just that way. And so a lot of times when things happen in marriage, we pick the small things that at the big scope of things, it doesn't matter. And I learned quick because Carol and I were picking things, in the store. And when you did the registry, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, great, thumbs up. And we got to the shower curtain, and she picked one, and I go, that don't match. Well, I like it. What do you like? I like this. Well, this one matches. And then she went on, and then I'm like, well, it doesn't match. I'm trying to help you. It's not match. And then, why are we fighting? And I'm like, my thought with my dad telling me this, I'm like, it's a shower curtain in a house I'm not going to live in for 2 years. Pick what you want. But it's seriously like, okay, there's no problem with what went on. But sometimes it's the dumbest things you fight about and quarrel about. And Carolyn could come up and give examples, too, of certain things where she's looked at me and go, that's Tymen. Just let Tymen be Tymen. I'm good. That doesn't really, in the big scope of things, matter. So he likes to hit a little white ball around. Okay, I'll come with him, whatever. He's no good at it, but that's okay. And it's very important that you accept each other's apology and stuff. For example, one time Carolyn did something, and I know that's a complete shock to everyone here that she would do something, and it didn't turn out right. Doesn't matter what it is. And then she apologized for it. I go, fine, no problem. You didn't personally. So I asked her, I go, okay, that's fine. Then she apologized again. I said, Carolyn, I accept it. It's okay, let's move on. Then she said, I'm really sorry this blah, blah, blah happened. And so finally I stopped her. I said, I'm starting to get upset now. I said, I forgive you. You don't need to keep apologizing. Then I asked her, I go, did you purposely do that to hurt me? She goes, well, absolutely not. I go, exactly. You didn't mean to hurt me. It happens. And I could tell the story the other way. I said, stop apologizing. You apologized. I accepted it. You said it again to make sure I heard you. I said again, we're not going to talk about this. You're not going to apologize to me again about this. Ever. Ever. We're moving on. We're not going to sit here and fuss about molehills and little bumps in the road. I'm done. Like, stop. And she looked at me, she goes, yeah, you're right. I go, exactly. It's no different than when I did something dumb more often than you. I look at you and say, oops, I'm sorry. I didn't do it intentionally. Look at the heart. But so many times, he did that, and now I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to make sure he does this, 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 and now I might forgive him. Or as a husband, well, let me hear that story again. Now I'm going to try to get in. That's right, you owe me. I'm going out with the fellas. Really? Your wife stumbled, made a mistake, and now you're going to hold it over her head, and you wonder why your marriage isn't turning out. Really? Okay, your life. Ephesians 4:22 to 23 and a little more says, "Wives, understand and support your husbands in the way that show support for Christ. The husband provides leadership to his wife the way Christ does the church, by not dominating, but cherishing. So just as the church submits to Christ, he exercises such leadership. Wives likewise should submit to her husbands. Husbands, go all out in love for your wives, exactly as Christ did for the church. A love making and giving, not getting. Christ's love makes the church, this is really wordy. Christ's love makes the church whole. His words invoke her beauty. Everything he does and says is designed to bring the best out in her, dressing her in dazzling white silk, radiant with holiness. And that's how husbands ought to love their wives. They're really doing themselves a favor. That's right. Since they are already one in marriage." When that scripture gets read in church, how many women, when I read the first part, went, "Great, here it comes"? How many men were like, "Yep, just a little louder. Maybe read in a couple more versions, Tymen." But then when we get to the next part, the men are like, "Tymen, why did you have to read verse 24? We could have stopped. Had a revival before that." And a woman would be like, "Now you're preaching." The funny thing is, we as humans we read that, and as a guy, I'm thinking, "Carolyn, right here, what are you supposed to be doing?" I don't want to go on to the next verse, and she'll look at that and say, "Tymen, here's your problem. That's right here. Let me tell you exactly where you're missing it." And the thing is, that scripture doesn't tell the wife to tell the husband what he's missing, and the husband to tell the wife what he's missing. And so easy, we want to sit there and try to fix our spouse and correct everything wrong with them. And some women would say it would take a long time to correct all that. The thing, when I read that, I look at it and think, what I'm responsible for is my part. As most of you know, I like sports. I like football. And any of you that follow the NFL know that the New England Patriots, basically from 2001 to like 2019, were an unbelievable dynasty. One of the greatest coaches of all time, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. In that span, they won like 6 times. They won their division like 15, went to the semifinals like 10. Like, it's an incredible record. And one of their slogans was, "Do your job." That meant if you were the running back, don't worry about the receiver. You do your job. If you are the interior lineman, you block your man. Don't worry what the center is doing. Do your job. And that's the same way we can apply to our relationships. Look after yourself. You fix you. Wife, don't fix husband. Husband, don't fix wife. You could even apply this to, let's say you're having an issue with a sibling, a brother. Maybe I'm having an issue with Brent. Tymen, look in the mirror. Fix your problems. Look after you. And a lot of times in relationships, and this can be even from a parent to a son, or a parent to a daughter to a parent. Fix you. Look in the mirror and correct yourself. As it says in Galatians 6:5, it says, "For we're each responsible for our own conduct." I found this quote by Benjamin Franklin saying, "Happiness depends more on inward disposition of the mind than outward circumstances." When I was doing some research for this, and of course research means you Google, there was this thing about looking inward on self-reflection. And we can apply it to many things, but applying it to relationships here, one of the things they say on looking inward is self-awareness. So if we applied this to a marriage, is what are you doing for your relationship? Let's say it's a relationship with your parent. What are you doing to improve that relationship? Not what are they doing, what are you doing to improve that relationship? Continuous learning was another point. I've been married 30 years. Parents been married 60. Are you willing to keep learning? Are you willing to become a better spouse? Are you willing to become a better parent, even if your kids are older? Are you willing to improve? A lot of people we get kind of, this is good enough. Are you really wanting to improve and get better? Another point, they said passion. Are you bringing excitement and passion to the relationship, or to your marriage, to your relationship maybe with a family member? Are you devoted to it? Another point, they said personal time, time management. Are you making time for this relationship? Are you making time for your spouse? Are you making time for your child? With anything, are you really making time? Because that can tell me how serious you are, really. You'll make time for what you really want and what you really like. You can hang around me and you'll figure out really quick, that guy likes hockey. He likes golf. He likes it. I mean, it doesn't take doesn't take a genius to figure it out. What are you putting time to is what a person's really devoted to. Some people say, well, that's all nice and easy, Tymen, but I think we're heading down the wrong path in our relationship. And I'm reminded of a couple examples I'd like to share with you. It's never too late to change in your relationship, whether it's with a spouse or a child or a brother, sister, like I've said before. Regarding marriage, I'm thinking of my grandpa on my mom's side. He was, how can I say this? Well, put it this way. He lived through the Depression, then he lived through a war, so he was old school. That would be the right way to say it. You know, they didn't have time to educate themselves on how to be a better spouse. They were more concerned about making sure they weren't taken over, although he did not go and fight in the war, but a lot of people did. My great-grandparents lived through World War II, World War I, sorry. And so, you know, they're more concerned about just trying to survive. My mother, as a small child, slept in an attic in the wintertime with no insulation, cuddled up to her older sister, and had a little iron by her feet, so those didn't freeze. And there was the chimney pipe that went through the attic to try to keep them warm. So back then, they were more concerned to make sure they had enough coal and enough wood to survive. There wasn't too many marriage help-me books back then. So my grandpa was old school. And he died at a young age. And I remember the story being told to me, and I think my mom told me. And when my grandma rushed to the hospital, because they said, you know, hey, he's going down, he's going to pass away. She was there, and then my mom got there, and my grandma looked at my mom, and I'm paraphrasing the story, said, why now? Why now? Because Grandpa had been sick and was healed. And just under 2 years later, he got sick again and passed away. And my mom said to him, what do you mean, why now? She goes, if he had died 2 years ago, I don't think I would have had much emotion. But the last 2 years, my grandfather changed. He went to church. They read the Bible together. He was way more tender and gentle. He was a big man, my height. My thumb was the size of his pinky, like a massive man. Became way more gentle, way more loving to my grandma. Yeah, it was a short time. He changed. You can change. You can make your relationship better. And just recently, this guy named Phil Robertson, a lot of you will know him from Duck Dynasty, the Duck Calls, and he has a movie out called The Blind, and he just recently moved on to heaven, as we like to say, and his relationship with his wife they show in the movie was awful. He was a jerk. He got saved and changed. That family today, sharing the gospel, getting people saved. They have pictures of his whole family from him and his wife and outward. The amount of people in that picture, because he changed. He became a husband that God wanted him to be. So if you're in you can change. You can change. It's always able to change and improve. Another big thing I like to talk about as far as having good relationships, it's good to have a relationship that your kids would want to also have. When they're out in the world, every movie we watch usually is an unmarried couple seem happy and in love. And then anytime you watch a movie where there's usually a married couple, it's conflict, chaos, and not very much love. TV shows show the same thing, and they see this and they're told as growing up, like, hey, you're single now. Spread your wild oats. Enjoy yourself. Whatever. And then they come home and they go, I'm told I'm supposed to wait till I'm married and all this stuff, and this is what I'm waiting for? Why would they? I'm just asking. There's no passion. There's no love. There's no excitement. There's no joy. Why would they want to wait? Besides a conviction, but really, like, you're showing them that it stinks. I'm not picking on anyone here. I don't know everyone's, but I'm just being honest. Your kids should come home and realize, Dad, okay, there's no kids in here. Dad still thinks Mom's hot. Mom still thinks Dad's a dude. Like, they should see a little PG love between you. They should be able to see it. They should know this. They should see that, hey, I want to be like my mom and dad. They love each other. Look at this, 25 years, still loving each other. I know a lot of people that don't even get 5. That's what I want. You're the example. These youth get so many voices in their head from people and TV shows and all this stuff. But if we're not giving them a half a good example, are you shocked? I'm not. Why would they want, like, as an 18, 19, 20-year-old, hormones raging, why would they, like, really, seriously? Titus 2:7 says, and you yourself must be an example to them by doing good works of every kind. Let everything you do reflect integrity and seriousness of your teaching. Now I want to change gears a little bit. How about you're sitting here and you're going, that's nice, Tymen. I ain't married, or I was married, so now what? Somebody could even say, well, I had a relationship. Things didn't turn out well. I'm thinking of a couple from Rama. Tim and Carolyn would probably know who I'm talking about. Wonderful guy. Played the piano. Could sing. Can sing. Still does sing. And he was single. And everyone was like, why is he not married? Why can't he find a wife? Why? And I think he was about 50. All of a sudden, he got married. And I asked him, I'm like, how? He goes, Tymen, I don't know why I didn't get married sooner. I wanted to. It didn't happen. He married this lady. And he says, when I married her, the funny thing is, I told her, I go, look, I've been on myself for 30 years. So if we get together, you're going to have to understand, I just probably going to need some of my own space. And she was like, okay, I'm fine with that. That's okay. I love you. We'll still have time together, but I'll give you your space. He thought, this is great. They got married. And he's there, and he's playing the piano or working or doing something at the house. And she goes, well, I'll be back in a bit. I'm going grocery shopping. He says, oh, can I come? She goes, well, I thought you need your space. He goes, Tymen, I don't want no space. I go grocery shopping when she wants to go. If she wants to shop for clothes, I am there. He goes, I realized real quick, I had been by myself long enough. I'm going with her. Still married today, still. I also think of this other person. You guys might know this person. Few wanted to get married. Siblings were getting married, having children. Wasn't working out. Got the pastor to agree with him that a wife, he needs a wife, wants a wife. So one Sunday in church, see, he was in church, a friend came and brought someone to church. Well, because they're friends, this person looks at this person and says, "We want to come out for lunch?" And the friend this person dragged to church was with him. So they go there to, I think, a Subway, and they're visiting. The friend that was invited goes to the washroom. And then these two that were friends, she looks at him and says, "I'm married. Why are you talking to me? She's the single one." He goes, "Well, valid point." She comes out of the washroom, and they start talking. The one person realizes she's just in the way. She leaves. This person gets saved, baptized, Spirit-filled, and now I have a great sister-in-law. Right, Tim? You know, it's just amazing. And the funny thing is that we all know it's Jamie for you that can't clue in. And it was my sister who brought her to church. She was the assistant to my brother-in-law, Keenan. And he lost a really good assistant. But, you know, it's never too late. And why certain things happen. I know in today's society, people aren't getting married as quick and all that stuff. I don't have answers for that. But you can't give up hope. It can. And, you know, like even my sister, you know, things happened with her and stuff. Her first husband wasn't great, and he passed away. And then here she is raising a boy by herself. You know what? A dozen years later, I get my brother-in-law, Keenan. You know, it's just, it can happen. It can happen. Why and stuff. Sometimes we spend too much time asking why and wasting time. Sometimes you just don't get answers. So, I guess I should have wrote notes how to end this better. So, anyway, I just wanted to share some things. Hopefully you guys can apply them and make it, you know, make your relationship great. And like I said, if you're not in one, it can happen. Maybe you've gone through a divorce. It happens. Like my grandparents, it was such a blessing. Like, seriously. Like, she lived in Winnipeg, and my dad, my two aunts and uncle, they didn't have to worry about her. Like, seriously, like, where's Grandma and Grandpa now? They're in Greece. Now here in Singapore. And even when they got older and couldn't travel, it was easy. Like, you didn't have to check on Mom because Grandpa Leon was there, and they were so in love. In closing here, I just want, before we sign off on the internet and get to the celebration for Mom and Dad's 60th wedding anniversary, I'd just like to read from Joel 2:12-13. That is why the Lord said, "Turn to me now while there is time. Give me your hearts. Come with fasting, weeping, and mourning. Do not tear your clothes in grief, but tear your hearts instead. Return to the Lord, for he is merciful, compassion, slow to anger, filled with unfailing love, and eager to relent and not punish." if everyone could just bow your heads right now, I just want to ask if you want to, and if you're watching online, make a commitment to Christ today. You know, hey, it's a personal decision you have to make. I would recommend it. But if you would like to make a commitment to Christ, if you could, while we're singing the song, we're all going to stand up and sing. We'll have some prayer partners here. Please just work your way that way there, and we will pray with you, give you a little bit of literature. And those watching online, I want to thank you for joining us today. And there's information. If you're online, want to make that commitment, please call the church. We'll be glad to help you out. And if we could all stand and sing, please.